Because you can talk to men. You can talk to the AT&T representative that ends up being a man. And you're fighting over a bill or something that's a different issue. But if this is an emotional talk, then no, it is not permissible except in one case. He is a khatib, he is someone who proposed to her, and there is a permission from the guardian. He is a khatib, someone who proposed marriage to her and spoke to her guardian, and there is permission from the guardian for the two of them to talk over the phone. You see, there is no problem in Islam at all when it comes to getting acquainted with the other party, because Islam gives you three different layers, stages, steps. Khutuba is the first one, aqd is the second one, bina is the third one. So khutuba is engagement. You propose to her. She's not your wife, and she's foreign, but what you're saying is, I already proposed to this woman, so there is no one from the Muslim community should propose to her from now on, because I already proposed to her. And then there could be some talking between you and her in the presence of a mahram, or if the mahram allowed this talking to be over the phone, it has to be formal or at the most semi-formal talking, where you talk about, this is what I expect in a husband, this is what I expect in a wife, and so on and so forth. It should not have any emotional vibes. Absolutely not, because she is a foreign woman and you are a foreign man. Now, you could say, but how could I get to really know her? Well, people here get to know each other very well. A lot of people here, but not all people, so that because fairness is fairness, and this is not just to be nice to the people, but to be fair. There are people who are, conservative here. And I don't care about the percentages, but there are people who are conservative and there are people who are not. But there are many people here who get to know each other for 7 years and their kids attend their wedding. And yet the divorce, the rate of divorce is still 50% here, or more than 50%. So despite the fact that they have really known each other very well, the family broke up after a year or a few months. So this argument is just a feeble argument, it's a weak argument, it's a ridiculous argument. That's the first thing. The second thing is, whoever says that Islam does not allow you to get to know her more. There is something in Islam that is called al-aqd. Al-aqd is when you're still unable to move in together, but you can get contracted. And then when you get contracted and defer the consummation of marriage, which is al-bina, consummation of marriage, which is al-bina, but while you're contracted, she's your wife. In this case, can you go out to have dinner together? That's the Islamic dating. Can you have Islamic dating? Yes, she is your wife. But then where do you stop? What is the end? What's the limit? The limit is what is agreed upon between you and her guardian, that there will not be complete consummation of marriage. But like, these issues are very hard to talk about, but like, can you hold hands? Yes, you can hold hands. The issue here is that the complete consummation of marriage, the end of it, that is something that you should stay away from until you move in together and the guardian and the community and everybody knows that you are now completely married. Not that you are not before completely married, but that you have consummated your marriage. So that it's done in just a wholesome environment where you have a house of your own and you can move in together and the guardian knows, and because otherwise the person who's contracted, let's say they're contracted and they went out to have dinner together, and the shaitan whispered in their minds, and then they consummated the marriage without the guardian knowing or without anyone knowing. Are they, in this case, fornicators? No, they are not. They are a husband and wife. They cannot be fornicators. They are a husband and wife. Who are they in this case? they have violated a promise. They broke a promise. The breaking of a promise, is it a good thing? No, it's a very bad thing. But is it like fornication? No, certainly it is not. So that is what it is. That's what it is. So Islam provides you with steps, and then after you get contracted, and then you can be Islamically dating for a year or less or more, then you consummate the marriage and you move on with your lives. So I don't think that there is any problem here. I don't think that there are any obstacles here towards getting to know one another and being acquainted with one another. No.
I was going to say, isn't that cultural or is that Islamic? I mean, where did that come from? That like you marry somebody and then wait for the relationship?
Oh no, that's absolutely Islamic. To be contracted and to defer the consummation. Oh, that's absolutely Islamic.
No, I just mean because
it's even in the Quran.
Everything is permissible because you're married, right? So it's not. You didn't do a sin if you are married.
Yes,
and you did it.
But there is an implied or a clear condition from the guardian that you will not consummate the marriage until you move in together. It's a condition from it's a promise that you gave to the guardian. Now, if you break that promise, it's not fornication because she is your wife, but you broke a promise. I mean, you as a guardian, when your daughter grows up, you as a guardian, you want your daughter to not to wait until they can move in together, until they can have a life of their own. And then if the husband does not respect this wish, you are the guardian, you have some rights.
Question, if it's a condition of the contract, of the act itself, and it's violated, doesn't that jeopardize the contract itself?
No. This is not a condition like this. It's not a condition in the validity of the act, no. It does not invalidate the act at all. This is an implied mutual agreement or a clear mutual agreement. Sometimes it's clear, they talk about it, and oftentimes it's implied because it's implied that, the consummation of marriage will happen when you move in together. Now, if the guardian is okay with the consummation of marriage before they move in together, that's okay. Then that's the consummation of marriage. Like if they don't have a place to move into, but the guardian allowed them to spend a week together in a hotel. That's an implied consent from the guardian that the marriage could be consummated. Right? Yeah, it's an implied consent from the guardian. The marriage, he let them spend one night in the hotel alone. That is basically an implied consent. That marriage could be consummated. Yes. Any questions? Yeah.
You already said that they can have the khutbah. So, is that khutbah considered that marriage or not marriage?
No, I said that the khutbah is the first stage, and he is not a husband, she is not a wife. All they can do is, in the presence of a mahram, they can talk, and they can talk about what they expect. If the mahram allows them to talk on the phone, if the guardian, al-wali, allows them to talk on the phone, the talk should be a formal talk, or email each other. It should be formal. It should not have any emotional vibes because they are not a wife and a husband. They're just, potential candidates.
Contract negotiations, basically.
Yeah, and then in this stage they can be talking about, this is what I expect in a wife, this is what I expect in a husband, these are my future plans, this is what I'm going to study, this is my plan for my career, I expect to live in this state or this country or that state, I expect to be